Lost and found. Our Creator God did indeed create. Mercy and how. And when she created, she said it was good. I mean, really good. I'm talking springtime, sunshine, melting snow, heating earth, making it warm, moist, fertile, and sticky kind of good. I'm talking, God said it's good like your breasts are like gazelles, twin deer feeding among lilies. I will stay on the hill of myrrh, the hill of incense, until the morning breezes blow and the darkness disappears kind of good. I'm talking my bride is a secret garden, a walled garden, a private set spring. There are plants that flourish. They grow like an orchid, an orchard of pomegranate trees, and bear the finest fruits. There is no lack of henna and nard of saffron, calamus and cinnamon, or incense of any kind. Myrrh and aloes grow there with all the most fragrant perfumes. Fountains water the garden, streams of flowing water, brooks gushing down from the Lebanon mountains. Kind of good. And yet, we've fallen. We've fallen from for the beauty of the earth to seeing it all as resources and exploiting their worth. Strip mine the hillsides, remove the mighty mountaintops, clear cut the rainforest, frack the frickin' fields. Profits line our pockets now, 'cause tomorrow don't matter anyhow. Like Adam and Eve, we banished ourselves from the paradise of Eden. Like Cain, we kill our brothers for wanting what they have, and if we don't kill them, we xenophobically deport them back to where they came from because they crossed our scandalously acquired borders. We curse the poor in huddled masses to wander the earth like Noah's son Ham without knowing a place to call home. Like Moses, we deny ourselves, immigrants and the great-grandchildren of immigrants alike, entry into the promised lands of freedom, peace, honest work, and socially just community. And instead of owning this malicious mire and our responsibility for it, we project onto others the monstrousness that is really ours. We're like a country that invades Iraq and then scolds another for invading Ukraine, Crimea River. We're like a nation that funds its military more than all the other nations spend on theirs combined, while having the highest percentage of its citizens locked up in prison. We're like a country that protects themselves from perceived enemies within and without in ways that not only create more people who have actual grudges against it. We're like a nation that has the gall to spread democracy abroad while removing the rights of its own citizens and allowing their laws and leaders to be bought by corporations. We're like a nation that thinks the world revolves around them, but they can no longer find themselves on a map. We're like a nation that's lost. We distract and distance ourselves from pondering such truths with a collective fixation on finding a missing Malaysian passenger plane in the Indian Ocean and the technical challenges of rescuing Korean children from a sinking ferry boat. The media has us geeking out on the intricacies of triangulating pings from the fluorescent orange-black box, determining how long humans can live without food and water, the sophisticated geared equipment used by the divers, and how many pounds per square inch of water pressure submarines and ferry hulls can handle. With little coverage of the incredulous injustice of how the relatives and loved ones of those passengers were notified that no one survived by text message. Or the obscenity of burning fossil fuels for recreational purposes in a world where the air is cooking and every molecule of CO2 that's needlessly released into it is a nail that's being pounded into a common crested casket. But Flight 370 is safely nestled in the sands of the ocean. We're more lost than any plane can ever be. What we need is something to find us. No, not a naval ship flying imperial colors. The vessel we're looking for is the vehicle of truth. The great ship of story. Story that reminds us of who and whose we really are. We yearn for myth that carries truth and counters the other myths that tell us that violence is redemptive, that it's a dog-eat-dog world, and that might makes right. We crave a meta-narrative that tells us that we don't have to suck. In fact, we can shine. And parts of that great story are breaking in. That uplifting story shines in American states that are finally legalizing marriage for our pink triangle brothers and sisters, cascading like prisms of fractal light, cascading down rainbow waterfalls of love. That story shines in state legislatures, making paths for citizenship, despite draconian measures at the national level, drunk with toxic Anne Randian tea, steeped with John Birchfart, and artificially sweetened with cubes of Koch brother-funded bigotry. That tea is only a party, only in the way that Jim Jones' Kool-Aid laid down the funk and helped people to have a grand old party of a time. The story is breaking in 420-friendly states that have reclaimed the medicinal and practical wisdom of Thomas Jefferson and Henry Ford and seeing that wondrous green plant as a gift from God that He wants us to use. But before we get too carried away on our Rocky Mountain highs, we don't need a drug or a rug to affirm Rumi's truth that that which we seek is seeking us. The good news is that we aren't lost. We're found. Though we've been looking for Jesus like a hidden Waldo in a crowd, He's not missing in action. He's right here in our hearts, reminding us that we are the ones we've been waiting for. And here we are. Like keys, wallets, and phones nestled in a junk drawer, like grieving travelers on the road to Emmaus, and like frightened disciples hiding out in an upper room with locked doors in Jerusalem, Jesus finds us. And it's not like the phrase sings it, that He finds us just a little late. That radical dude from Nazareth saves our lives right on time. What's late is our realizing it. We're not late to the party. We're just slow to see that we're already at the party. We are stardust and we are golden, and we're freed from the devil's bargain, and we're back. Yes, we're back to the garden. Jesus has spread out the picnic blanket of salvation. He's turned the water into wine, and the dewy grass dance floor of our hearts is waiting for us to get down. Let's live into that story, people, and let's dance. Yeah.